This is David Panic with a Sizzletown emergency news update. The Prime Morrison Scott Minister has declared a ban on public gatherings of 500 or more people unless those people are directly involved in the generation of revenue for Brian Houston's Hillsong organization. Said Minister, they still have an awful lot of merch at reasonably inflated prices, and that prime Manhattan real estate is not going to pay for itself. And don't forget the holy sanitizer, just $49.95 a squirt. The Prime Morrison also announced he will personally be rationing his use of the word Australian to 5 mentions per sentence. He then said he is off to the footy in his new hazmat suit. Go the Sharks. How good is a national emergency for distracting from the whole sports roots fiasco? Australia. Celebrity coronavirus victim Richard Wilkins mistakenly announced his own death this morning on today's Today program, saying he'd read something about it on the internet. Everyone who has come into contact with Wilkins was executed in a glamorous ceremony at the Channel 9 mass grave this afternoon. The Australian share market shat its pants overnight and was unable to obtain any rolls of toilet tissue with which to clean up the mess. The Dow Jones was seen using an old issue of Quadrant to complete its ablutions, while the Nikkei opted to let nature take its disgusting course. U.S. Trump Donald President is alleged to have contacted the German makers of a new as-yet untested coronavirus vaccine, offering to pay an undisclosed amount of money for a single jab on the condition that every other dose is destroyed. President said he himself could easily distill a vaccine, as he knows more about the subject than even the most experienced biologists, but that he doesn't have time, as he is having emergency tanning processes applied to every part of his heaving, sweaty, cheese-infused form, save for the usual 2 crescents beneath the eyes, which, as always, will serve as a tantalizing glimpse of his actual pasty, unappetizing pallor. British comedian and fop Russell Brand has cancelled all public appearances, but will continue to run screaming like a girl to the nearest lifeboats, pushing other celebrities aside and hogging all the oxygen masks for his own lacy, affected use. It's a serious business, and I will be confining myself to my beddy-wed, said the twat this morning via an interpreter. Australian schools will remain open, although social distancing has been recommended for all students, not just for nerds and disturbing loners. The Victorian Andrews, Daniel Premier, said school closures are inevitable, leading a student spokesman to say, "This is fucking awesome." There were chaotic scenes at a local Woolworths this morning as 250 people in tracksuit pants fought over a single square of toilet blotter using weapons hastily fashioned from the only as-yet unsold items at the supermarket, a can of chili-infused anchovies and a DVD of the film 27 Dresses. Eventually, some underbelly-looking fuckstick chest-bumped his way to the front and snatched the square from a pensioner, roughly applying it to his hungry, waiting anus, shouting, "Yous fucking fucks can fuck off." He was immediately awarded an Order of Australia by the Institute of Public Affairs. Performances of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child have been suspended following the discovery that the plot concerns a cursed child. In the Melbourne suburb of Clayton today, a man was arrested for appearing at the local shops without an ill-fitting and completely ineffective surgical mask. "He has brought shame upon us all," said one local shopkeep from behind a loosely applied chucks. Hollywood celebrity Tom Hanks's liberal use of Vegemite in a social media posting has been declared a national disaster by the World Health Organization. Surely his biggest embarrassment since the man with one red shoe, said a man fighting a dog for some bog roll in a hastily installed pit of despair in his local Coles car park. And finally, to sport. It's still a complete waste of time, largely for children. That's the emergency news. I'm David Panic for Sizzletown.